We're live. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome, folks, to the September 8, 2021 regular meeting of the Washington County Board of Elections. We have our staff here. We have everyone. We knew that Mrs. Ritter was going to be running a little late. She had an appointment. She'll be joining us shortly. Public comment.
I have none, but we will need to talk about what we need to get going for.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be talking.
That sounds.
Yeah, sure. Minutes.
Unfortunately, I was not able to get the minutes completed, so I hope to get those up.
If we can get those and email them to us so we can get them, throw them up
Yeah.
onto the.
Yeah. Can you, have we, website, have we decided that you can approve minutes over online or, I don't have to vote.
I think we have to vote in the meeting, but at least we could see them and
okay.
see if something has to happen.
Okay, all right.
And we could certainly give you corrections, that sort of thing. So we
Okay,
can-
that's good.
Bills, it looks like we have one gigantic.
Yeah, for RBM, for service days, which we have it here still.
Right.
It covers, paper clip. It's the 2021 service days, they said. It covers 3 election support days, 2 days for LNA testing, 1 day for coding, 1 for certification, and 3 training days. That's what's included. And for each day is $1,475.
Okay.
So that's 10 days total.
Right.
That makes the total.
Mm-hmm. And have we gotten any of those yet, or?
Yes, they've already been in for coding.
I was gonna say, I've seen and chatted with.
Yeah, and they were in for a training day
Right.
already,
Yeah.
so.
And just as a matter of record, so that you have this, I spoke with one of the gentlemen from RBM, and he told me that their company tries very hard to make certain that the person they send us does not vote in the state in which he services equipment. The notion being to try to let the public know that RBM couldn't come in with an agenda like, I want to get someone elected, or I have a relative, or I'm just a member of a party or whatever, and I want to try to fix a machine.
Right.
The other thing he confirmed for us, what we've all known, that even if somehow you could finagle one of the machines, it simply won't work with any of the other machines because of the intricacy of the coding. If you try to fix a reader, the problem with it is that when the ballot goes through, the ballot is got things into it that says it's looking for something, and when it doesn't, it triggers another part of the scanner that says this is a bad ballot, even though it's a totally legitimate ballot. And you simply can't, it's virtually impossible to get to that in order to fix it. And again, it would be on one machine, but almost universally it would shut it down. So if you went to the other one, our machines that print ballots, it again has a second and third and fourth level of coding that is almost impossible to get to, that once again, when you shove that ballot in, this isn't a good ballot, even though the person made it up, because it's missing something. And I remember the lady that was here asked about modems. And I started to answer and then I thought maybe I should hold off. Because I remember reading, seeing whatever, and it was confirmed by RBM. Motherboards have modems, but ours are disabled. Now, I think the Secretary of State, the RBM guy told us, the Secretary of State's office was considering whether is it feasible to have them removed.
Right.
Because when you're buying these motherboards, these corporations, they want to buy, 8 million of them at a time. So they, the cheapest ones are the ones that come thusly. But they disabled theirs, so you can't talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, any machine alive can probably be hacked into. The question is, how long will it take? How close do you have to be in order to be successful? And you have to have time. It's not like, oh, I can do this. Let me see if I can do this in 12 seconds. And somebody else, oh, I can do it in 11.
Mm-hmm.
It might be more like 10 hours. So we don't tend to let people loiter at our election places with, computers and laptops
Right
next to where we vote.
Yeah.
And so I felt pretty good about what he was explaining to us, which again, to me at least, just confirms all the research we did about how does this work, how hard is it to cheat it, and so forth. And as he points out, you're going through all this testing. Your staff does, so at this point, this has to become an enormous conspiracy of people who have different views perhaps about who the best candidate is or the best policy is, and you have to get them all together. And then the other day it occurred to me, if we were doing and counting with paper ballots, Charlie, you and I could decide that we didn't like a candidate together, even though you and I are on different, political parties. But we agree on this, so we might just well go, well, that's no good. You agree? Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
And before you know it, the stray mark has somehow appeared, and you go, we can't tell voter intent. And so that candidate suddenly, so we can't just look at the world and say the only people who will ever cheat in the world are people who create these machines and some hacker trying to hack in. People could be cheating that are reading it.
Yeah.
Right.
And they could be cheating with someone else and fixing it, and we'd never know. Because when you looked at the paper ballot, lo and behold, there's 2 marks on it.
Yeah.
We could be looking at it for 100 years and it's still no good.
Well, after spending the day with Ryan from RBM and coding, I don't care how quick you are and how good of a hacker you are. I mean, that coding takes some, it's a language in and of itself. So I and like you say, we don't allow people to come in with their computers and sit right beside
Sitting beside our
Right.
equipment.
Our equipment.
I mean, we're not even letting, we'd be, after a while, people be asking, why is a guy sitting with a laptop?
Right, why is he plugged into
Out there.
the,
We have cameras. I just think it's very difficult.
Yes.
And so I really felt good after we talked to him. Hello. I felt much better after talking to the RBM people because it seemed like they put some thought into what they do for us. Oh, Kadeen, I was saying that I know that the lady is not here who has been here for a couple of meetings, but I talked to the RBM people. And so I'm just kind of making a statement for the public and so forth that it seemed to me it just confirmed that the equipment we have is very difficult to break into, for lack of a better phrase. And that also RBM goes to great lengths to try to send us someone who doesn't have any connection to the state they work in. In other words, they're not voting there, so they don't have
An interest.
an interest. And so to me, all of those things they told me made me feel, again, quite secure about what we were doing. And then I just mentioned, I thought the other day, if you have hand counters on paper ballots, I picked on Charlie. I said, well, Charlie and I can decide how we're in different political parties. There's somebody running that both of us dislike, or we really like the other person. So we go out of our way to mess up a ballot. And, you know, so I still think our system is safe, secure, and it was interesting. I was going to share the words of our Secretary of State. We'll be getting to this in Directive 2021-19, where he points out that we've earned a reputation as a state that conducts elections that are both secure and accessible. And I'm not about to disagree with him on it, because I think he's correct. So anyway, that was my speech, and the reason we were doing it, we just were looking at bills.
Okay.
And so, Andy was telling us RBM, that's gonna be for 10 days work on that big one.
For service days from
Yeah,
them having people come here for.
$14.75 a day, and they've already been here, that's why I
Yes,
started
I'm sure.
chatting with them for part of the time. And they're still gonna be doing training.
Yeah.
So I think that updates is kind of where we're at. So I guess I need a motion.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Suddenlink, the internet charge, is that a little high? I mean, not,
That's what they've been, it did go up maybe $5, I think, since we switched to where we have Suddenlink. But
it just
otherwise,
seems like
that's been
it's higher than what I'm paying Suddenlink for my internet at my office. That's why I was asking the question.
So maybe I'll have to call them and.
Spectrum's not available in Marietta, is it?
No,
I have it at home.
I have it available too.
Yeah, I don't think in Marietta it is.
Because they have a pretty good business.
Is that just internet or does that include our phone?
No,
Or
just
landlines?
internet.
who's our phone system with? Or is that
It's
with,
through Windstream, but the county,
county does that?
does that, so we don't.
That might be why yours is a little bit higher, because I have all my services with.
Bundled, yeah.
Yeah.
It's maybe a
Oh,
little,
probably.
yeah.
All right, I'd like a motion, we accept the bills as presented.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, correspondence.
So you have a copy of each one of these, they're in your packet. Advisory 2021-03, which is the Secretary of State's office letting us know about changes to election law from Senate Bill 80 and amended substitute House Bill 110.
Did that impact anything in our current election?
Yeah. It has, for Supreme Court, Ohio Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, how the order that those appear on the ballot. And then, I think it was Chief Justices will have to, when they'll be on the ballot again in the general election. Because in the primary, they run as a party. But in the general election, they don't show a party on the ballot, but they'll have to show.
We'll be doing that,
a
we'll
party
be
on the
changing
ballot.
that.
Yeah, so we'll have to add that on whenever we code our ballots when they're on again.
That's just for Chief Justice?
I think it was
Well,
just for
and
Chief.
Justice of the
Or
House, I think it's
Justice of the
both,
High
isn't it? I think it's just,
Okay.
Or Court of Appeals?
Yeah, it says Court of Appeals as well.
right, so I think it's basically those appellate
Those,
judges,
yeah, the appellate
Supreme
judges.
Court and Court of Appeals.
And then it had something about, us being able to do with the Department of Administrative Services contracts to purchase supplies and services through them.
Yeah, trying to get a discount.
Yeah. And then something with emergency and police, services levies. The way they could put, a levy on the ballot.
Right. Right. Okay.
So, but we've had levies that say for a continuing period of time, is that still?
Yeah, but it was different, I guess if they were like we have some now that'll be on the ballot for this November that are for a continuing period of time. I think it was because it was emergency and police combined.
Okay,
Any of the ones we have had have never been for police.
never, yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen one for police.
So they're now including those.
Yeah, because they did have to be, they were limited
Mhm.
to a 5-year term before. That the levy can only be for 5 years, so now they can change it to,
And didn't we have somebody actually say that they didn't, maybe I'm dreaming this, that they would never vote for anything that was for a continued period of time?
I think actually Ryan had said that.
Oh, Brian, was it Brian? I think
Yeah,
somebody told me that.
Which
I would
that's
never vote for
personal
anything that
choice,
says for
however they
continued, because it
would
can go
want
on, you know,
I mean, it's for-
infinity.
Yeah, like in here, I mean, it says, permanent, I mean, I would make it permanent. But that's everybody's choice.
And 18 deals with our upcoming,
Yeah, 2021-18, that directive is for the format for our ballots for the November election, what order we need to put them in, candidates in, and just kind of the basic layout of the ballots. And then that included, there's the sheet that looks like this that's kind of gives a diagram of what the ballot would look like, that's part of that directive. So it tells us where our headings need to be and, like I said, the order of how it needs to be placed on the ballot.
and you're really quite up on this.
Yeah, we used, when
Doing this.
we were coding the ballot already, we had that with us when we were coding the ballot. And Ryan's coming, we do have some changes, we have the ballots here for you guys to look at.
Mhm.
We do have changes marked on there, so he's coming back today to work on those changes for us.
And that's part of our, what we just
Yeah.
approved.
Yeah, that'll be included in that service.
Right.
I did notice here, just to bring to your attention on the last page of the Directive 2021-18, curing absentee ballot applications, we can now email them.
Yeah, we
can
can email
utilize
them.
telephone numbers and email address to complete the process of containing all the required information now instead of, and then we can mail it. So
Yeah.
that saves some time there. But they still cannot email us their
No,
application.
that application,
Okay.
yeah, that hasn't changed yet. But we do have to get a completed application from them.
So that'll save some time if we're trying to, if people.
And money.
At least-
And money, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, at least to contact them anyway.
yeah.
Saves their time to get it corrected,
To fix it, right?
yeah. So we can get a ballot to them,
Well, that will be good.
you know.
Hopefully so. 21, I think is, this is our ongoing maintenance of who's on the rolls,
Yeah, the
voters, who hasn't voted.
Yeah, 2021-19 is the general voter records maintenance program, that we do this each year. The Secretary of State's office contacts the United States Post Office to get a list of people who have put in changes of address with the post office. Then they compare that to our voter registration records and let us know people, who have potentially moved. So we can, some of them, we would actually update their address for them. And then if they've moved though out of the county or out of the state, then we just send them a letter to the address, they gave the post office that's out of the county or out of the state. So they can cancel their registration with us. And, so we can update our records to keep those.
How many do you usually get in a situation?
Actually, we have our numbers for this time. We had, I think it was 625 for the one mailing that's in county people. And then for our out of county, it was like 500, almost 600.
So about 1,200 you have to deal with.
Yeah, plus there's more there's a supplemental part to this for the people who have not voted, and that's over 4,000.
Oh.
It's like 4,300. Wow. So we're gonna have potentially about 6,000, or almost 6,000, probably 5,500 go out in the mail.
It's part of what we call confirmation.
Yeah.
And then isn't that what it's called?
Well, they call it NCOA for National Change of Address. That's what that's the list the post office keeps, is National Change of Address. And we've already ordered envelopes from Hyde Brothers so we'll have enough envelopes to do the mailing. And they're here already, so.
And then Triad is fixing.
Yeah,
doing
and
our
Triad
letters.
is going to, they create the files for us. Because the way we code, anytime anybody does a voter registration or any activity, Triad can go in and pull these lists, like especially for the supplemental. So they know, who has been non-voters or hasn't had any activity like signing a petition, because that counts as voter activity. So those people would stay on if they've done a voter registration, voted, or like signed a petition, that's voter activity, they would stay on. So they can tell all that, so they pull the list for us, and then they're going to print the letters for us and fold them and then mail them to us, so we can stuff them in envelopes and mail them out.
So we
Have
may
any
need
of the
some
people on the
assistance.
list gotten something from us earlier?
Yeah, there's in the directory, it says if they've gotten something at the same address from a previous time, from a previous NCOA, we're not mailing them another letter. But if they got a letter from us before at a different address, then we'll mail one to the new address this time. So and potentially they have, sometimes people just respond to our letter and they never vote, but they stay on the rolls because they respond to the letters that we send them. Or they go to the BMV, every 4 years with their driver's license and get, updated that way.
And how many elections do you have to miss?
It's two federal elections before you get sent that letter from the supplemental. So it'd be 2 federal general elections before you, and then it's another 4 years after that. So it's at least 6 years before someone would be taken off.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Started getting a card from us, a letter.
Right, and they're sent by forwardable mail. So hopefully, if sometime in between when we're sending in, if they've updated their address, it gets forwarded to them by the post office, so they can respond. And we send it with postage paid envelope for them to return the letter, so they don't even have to pay to return it,
Right,
to respond back.
right. And do we, how do we do ours? I know some, you get that little thing that says you got a permit number or whatever, or someone else puts a stamp on it.
Yeah, we take them down to Wasco, so we might send them down today, the return envelope they'll use and have them go ahead and put postage on those. And they run it through their meter, so it gets
Right.
put on that way.
Okay.
So they have a meter and we just pay them the cost for the,
Well, the county pays,
well,
yeah, for it. So that's why we stuff them ourselves, because we take them down there. Because Triad they offer that service. They were actually not offering it for this time. Normally they do. They were not offering it this time because they had trouble getting envelopes. They were not able from their supplier to get enough envelopes.
So we may
So
need
we
some
put-
assistance in stuffing envelopes. When do you think those will come in?
We have to finish, they gave us a list of addresses because they updated actually all the ones for us that were the in-county change of address people, except for a few. There was like 7 pages of ones they couldn't update because maybe the address was the way it came from the post office didn't quite match up with our system. So we have to go in and look at it to determine that address. So we have to finish those. And then we have to send it to the state for approval. We have to it'll give us our final list. We have to send that to the state for approval. They have to approve it before we can mail them, before Triad can even print them.
So what's the September 23 date? The data collection and review, it's called, September
Yeah,
23.
we have to send the confirmations by September 20th.
Okay.
And where was the page?
This year, I'm just assuming that on the 23rd, we have to probably tell the secretary
Maybe we have to say that
to
we've mailed
generate
them.
notices are mailed, et cetera.
Yeah, Noble will
Upload the
rewind
spreadsheet.
after the
Oh.
mailing confirmation notices.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, we have to send them a spreadsheet that just shows who all they were sent to.
So by the 23rd, we should have that.
Yeah, try and do that for us.
Completely, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So will you just let us know if you need help stuffing envelopes?
Yeah, we can let you know.
Do you think we need to have anybody else come in?
I don't know, like, especially if they come in, I don't know if we'll have to.
Okay. Just know that we might, if we get behind and we're running
Yeah.
up on
Yeah, we
that
could be
deadline, we might have.
Well, we
to-
definitely want to get them out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the sooner we get them, because once Triad prints them, it's marked in the voter's record that that's when they was sent. So we want to get them sent out as soon after that as possible. And then so any of these people that we're sending to, they won't be deleted, this year. That they have 4 years.
Now, if they do not respond and they come in to vote, does that clear them
Yeah,
for the next 6 years then?
yeah,
Okay.
once you,
Yeah,
now if they would wait, till after the 4-year period that'll be put on this letter, then they would be deleted.
Okay,
So they could re-register them again at that point, but if they come in any time before that, then that reactivates and starts it over again. We call it like a time clock that they're on. It resets that time clock. And then I gave you a copy of the elections calendar for next year for 2022.
the thing I'm
It's a
always
lovely small-
impressed with this,
Yeah.
this is as big as it gets as far as a hunk of paper. And this is about the tiniest print you could put out. And I often tell people, you really should go get one of the calendars. Because for folks who tell you the Board of Elections works 2 or 3 days a year, you ought to look at the calendar, because I tell people virtually every day, it seems like, a report is due somewhere in the world from us. We're doing something, or we're in the process of doing something. And to me, this was just extraordinary. And then when you look over at the far right, virtually every one of these, we're following the law.
The revised code. Yeah.
So we're doing what we're supposed to do. So I'm always impressed with that. Some people apparently think we only work a couple days and lounge the rest of the time.
And these had just came out, and then I didn't give you a copy of the candidate requirement guide, but that came out too for 2022, for people that want to run for an office next year. And we did have, Mark Carini's wife came in and picked up for him for judge again. So luckily, she actually came in the same day that came out, so it was good because we had the information to give her.
yeah.
So,
One thing when is early voting for the current, is it?
it's, for this election, it starts, I think it's the 5th. That's
October 5th?
Yeah.
Okay, but I was looking at the 2022, because the election is May 3rd.
Yeah, May 3rd.
Yeah,
So it starts April 5th,
April 5th,
when it says
Okay.
non-UO comma.
first day after close of voter registration.
Yeah.
But a shorter time period.
No, it's the same.
Well,
It's 30 days
you
before. UO comma, yeah, UO comma starts on March 18th.
Yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah, and the non-UO comma is
Right.
April 5th,
okay.
because it's 45 days.
Right, 45.
Or, well, it's 46 now,
Yeah,
they changed it.
So early voting is at April 5th. Okay.
all right. Business, are we up there?
Oh, yeah, yep, we're good there. Let me just sign these before.
For you.
The first thing on there, we had some write-in candidates that filed timely to be a write-in candidate. The deadline was August 23rd at 4 o'clock. But these came in after our last meeting on August 11th, so you need to certify. Those, we actually have several here. There's one. 7, we have 7. So if you wanna.
And these are, again, folks who are deciding not as a result of not having enough signatures or some other.
Yeah, they had not turned in, any other petitions for any other office or for any office at all for this November election yet.
I'm just curious, do you check to see, are these folks like running to fill an office where nobody signed up to, nobody filed a petition?
There was one of them, Steve Knoll for Belgrade 4th Ward. There was nobody for that, but all the other ones, there's at least one candidate
Okay.
for the office.
Do the write-ins have to pay $30?
Yeah, they pay the same fee. So if they were if they were running for township or board of education or something, it was 30. There was a couple of them that are city, and so their fee was 45, which is what the normal
Right.
fee is. Right? Yeah, so one benefit, I guess, is you don't have to collect signatures, but you still have to pay the same fee. But then your name doesn't show on the ballot.
So tell me again, do you have to type the name in?
Yeah, on the freedom votes, it'll show, just like on the paper ballot, you have to tap the oval next to the line for the write-in, and then it brings up a little keyboard, and they type out their name.
And the machine, does it make corrections?
No, it just does whatever you,
Right.
whatever you type in.
You don't need my signature on it, right?
No, you don't have to sign any of them.
And then you,
No.
then we
Yeah, just
review,
one.
then we review
Yeah, and then, when it prints out on their ballot, it will show what they typed in,
it. Right.
so they can review it.
Review it.
Yeah, and on the review screen, they can
And
show.
then we go with, is it close
The
enough?
closest
Right.
relation to the name.
Yeah, if we can determine who they're,
After our big Jeff, that Huggins and I, we were really the ringleaders. Andy's been kind of not necessarily said that, but we just said, that doesn't look like a good signature. So we ended up with a cousin running. And part of
This is on the agenda, but I do need to.
He
I didn't have it on.
he did it as a write-in,
Yeah.
but some of the people put in the other cousin's name.
Oh, boy.
And we were kicking ourselves 20 times over about how bad was this, So we promised the staff that we would rely heavily on their ability to read what people scribble.
And for, luckily they're not write-ins, but for Belgrade Board of Education, there's 2 people with the last name Meredith.
Oh, wow.
Fred and Frank,
All right.
Oh, good grief.
but luckily they're not write-ins, so people have to fill in so hopefully people pay attention to what they're doing.
A lot of interest in Belgrade.
Yeah,
A
there's
lot of people.
Yeah, there's several people running for Board of Education there and Marietta. There's several.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the declaration of him to be write-in candidate for the following. Christopher Carpenter for Board of Education, Warren Open Schools. Charles Felter for Independence Township Trustee. Thomas Stahl Township Trustee Independence. Victoria Garton, Council Member, Lower Salem. Daryl W. Armez,
Sure.
okay, Councilman of Lower Salem. Derek Hadfield, Councilman for Third Ward, Belpre. Steve Knoll, Belpre City Council, Fourth Ward.
Second.
There's a motion and seconds, or any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Passes. Great, good job there, Charlie. Could be interesting on some of the typings. Of course, there's a list, right, you can get,
Yeah,
or you could bring your own.
well, you could bring your own if you, knew, you know, so a voter knew who they
We
were
just have
voting
to
for.
clean it up after they leave
So, yeah, we just don't want them, we tell people not to leave it in
the
the,
voting booth.
yeah, voting booth area, cubicle, whatever you wanna. But we will give to the poll workers a list for their, you know, for their polling location of who the write-in people are. But the voter has to ask for that.
Right.
So, but we'll ask them, like with COVID, we'll just, before we've asked for them back, so we can just, you know, hand them back out again, but with COVID, we'll just have to throw them away or take them home or whatever, so we'll give them extra, so they have enough
Okay.
for that.
Excellent. I think we're up to ballot proofs.
Yeah, these
And as
are,
you said, there were a few things that are gonna have to still get worked
yeah,
out.
these are the ones that we really had the most corrections for, because some of them, it was like a title, so if he changes that once, you know, it changes it on every ballot that has that title. So we don't have to give them all of them, but I've emailed those to him. And some of them were trying to move, like, there was, if an issue got put on the back. And that was the only thing that was back there, we've just tried to see if maybe we can move it to the front.
Well, I'm gonna have a question on the top one. It lists add Derek P. Hadfield, double check about for write-in.
Yeah, well, he was the write-in, yeah, we were double checking, he was the write-in, that's one we just approved.
Yeah,
So we have to add the line for write-in,
oh, okay,
yes.
because the way it looks,
Yeah, the way we wrote it on
I
there.
thought that it was saying add his
Just a
name,
line.
but it's just a
Yeah, just-
line.
yeah.
Okay.
And then actually that whole section needed moved for member of council, needs moved to the,
Down below,
yeah, it needs moved to the left because it's under the school district heading, not the city of Belfry.
Right.
Right.
So that was one of them.
yeah. And this is, I'm curious, does their equipment not have a type check or
Like a spell
spelling
check?
check or something?
Not that I know of, actually, I don't think he mentioned
We got
it.
member down here.
Yeah, member was spelled wrong for the one,
Yeah.
Well, remember Joseph Biden was
right
last
last time.
on the ballot for the primary, so.
Okay, well, it looks like you folks have squared up stuff. I'm assuming you've looked at these forms.
Yeah, some of the villages have that.
Yeah,
I never really understood what they do, I think.
the Board of Public Affairs.
Yes.
The only thing I know is they do stuff with the water department.
Yeah.
I've heard, but
Yeah,
that's really
because
all
I have a friend that's on the
Far
board
side,
at Beverly, and I know that he works closely with the water department, so I think they do something like that, but
If I don't
that's,
see any of
a lot of the villages have those,
These are
have that.
water?
Yeah, well,
office.
yeah, because there's one for each precinct, but we just made the corrections on those ones. These are the ones, I mean, we wrote a few things on there, but all the corrections need made are on those ones.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of repetitive.
Yeah.
In other words, those fixes will appear
Well,
on
here,
this.
yeah,
All right. Okay.
but if you just wanted to see. And we double checked to make sure the levies showed on the correct ballots. And the correct candidates showed on the correct ballots for any of our splits for school board and,
Oh, yeah, because we do have that.
yeah. So to make sure those all showed up in the correct place.
Are we allowed to use any color on these?
No. Well, actually, I think if we petition to the state, we might be able to use some color. I know RBM has the capability of coding with color because some of the other states they work with use color,
Right.
but we never have.
Sure, it's more expensive.
I've always,
Yeah, that probably would be more expensive, but
but I've always just thought about splits.
happen, yeah.
If you're handing out a ballot to someone, obviously the machine's going to automatically.
I mean, it knows,
It'll-
right, but it's just at the
That's
first
the
thing.
advantage of that equipment we have.
Right, because then the poll worker doesn't have to,
These, Manny just told me, there are things that need correcting in this group, but when those are corrected,
the first group is
first batch,
correct.
it will automatically fix
Like the
those.
acts and the
Yeah,
misspellings and
automatically
whatever.
fix those,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's kind of
And there was
reassuring.
one spelling of a name, a person, their last name is McGregor. We didn't have a capital
Capital
G,
G,
yeah, it was
I
a
saw that.
lowercase, yeah, so.
Okay.
Well, again, certainly, I think excellent work by the staff going through, catching all of those.
No, thank you.
Do you need a vote?
Yeah, I'd say to approve them with the changes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the ballot proofs as corrected.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Again, really good work.
And we have sent, any of the other counties that we overlap with, we've sent, proofs to them so far so that they can approve the,
Approved.
yeah, the way, the names we have on there and everything, the spelling of them and everything.
Very good. All right, delivery truck.
Yeah, I asked United Rental again if we could get them. He didn't quote me the price yet, but I'm assuming it would be pretty much the same as, I asked him for the price, but I haven't got it back. By the time we came in here.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
You say that's from United Rental?
yeah, so I thought if we wanted to go with them again, he's already reserved them for us, so I think if we didn't want to, then I just had to.
We're doing two.
Yeah, 2 of the 26-foot box trucks.
Yeah.
Again,
So we just need an approval,
that you're okay, I
we're
guess.
fine with it, and,
Same price?
He didn't give me the price yet, I asked for it, but I didn't get it before.
what, do you remember what the price was?
I think it
I
was
think it was around,
1,100?
yeah, I want to
Oh,
say like
is that
11,
per truck?
1,200. No, for
No,
both.
for both.
So, could
Assuming
we
it's
go
around the same.
15? All I'm saying is so that if it came in at 12,
Right.
Yeah, that'd be
then it
covered.
would still be covered.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Say yes.
I'm sorry.
Say yes.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Well, I think I probably need a motion to rent from United Rail not to exceed 1,500 for 2 trucks.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Ah, yes, that which is near and dear to our heart.
Budget meeting.
God bless them.
Which,
Actually, the last couple times I have to say, and not because Mrs. Ritter might know one of the commissioners, but they have been pretty, I don't want to use the word open-minded. They just have basically sat, listened to what we've had to say and really not had too many questions. And I think in part perhaps because we've sort of explained a lot of things to them over the years. And so they have a pretty good feel for, what we do and why we're doing it. Because sometimes it seems a little counterintuitive when you talk about a race or an election like this. But this is one where we're conducting multiple elections around the county because each township is its own little election.
in each village.
Right, and so then you have all the villages, communities, et cetera. So in that sense, there's a lot of work that goes into it just to make sure that we got each one correct. And sometimes folks think, well, it's kind of an off year.
Which, yeah, people
Yeah.
call it that, but
And then,
it's so busy for us.
And then this next one, certainly, if you read some of the Columbus or Cleveland or Cincinnati papers, next year is probably gonna be a pretty active election, it sounds like. So you want a date?
Yeah, and we did have an email, and you have a copy of it in there. They will begin September 20th at 10. They're on half-hour increments, so we just need to let them know the dates. Thursdays, of course, they're not available during their meeting time, which is Thursday mornings till probably about 11, it says. So that they can have their weekly meeting.
So if we were, I'm just throwing out a date here, looking at my calendar, Friday, the 24th.
The way I'm reading is, do they want us on September 20th?
That's the first day it
That's when they
starts.
start.
So we
Okay.
could do the 20th if we wanted to,
Oh, okay.
but that's, yeah.
Maybe we need to
doesn't
get in
have to.
early so we can get our bid in. Before the rest of them.
Before the other department.
Before the
I think
other
we're gonna
agencies
stack
can
them up,
get-
Not quite sure
I don't think
first
that's how they do
in. It's the, yeah.
Get our money first.
Yeah,
Sorry, you don't get it.
Yeah, go ahead. You're the last one. There's no money left.
Yeah, I think the sheriff would be there.
Yeah.
This one is probably at 10
Doing his best
It's
to
probably
be
at
in
9
front of
a.m.
us. So I'd rather go in the pile than
Yeah.
fight for the first spot.
And I would say in the past, the commissioners have been good to us because,
Mhm.
and we give money back at the end of the year.
Yeah,
what
we have,
do.
we've had a history.
Yeah, the
Yeah, so they're
If
looking
we don't
at it.
spend it, we'll give it back.
Yeah.
Alright, so Dennis, September 24th is good for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just would want it after probably 9.
Well, it looks like they're,
And they start at 10.
yeah, at 10.
So
it's
10
gotta
o'clock
be-
works for me.
10 o'clock on what day?
24th, it's a Friday.
Mhm.
24th, Friday.
Does that work, Charlie?
Question, where do they meet now?
I think it's over, it
Gilman.
says it'll be over on Gilman.
I think we've been there at least once, at least I have.
The last one I think we went to was over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember you were there. I don't remember who else.
Are they on the second floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I think we were in a conference.
Have they moved
Maybe
into
so.
their new offices yet?
No.
No.
All right, so we're gonna go with 9:24, 10 a.m. Gilman unless told otherwise.
Yeah. Because they note there if that would change, they.
And then
let
maybe
us
you and I
know.
just work on a budget of what?
Yeah, we'll have, I think Ben had sent me what they had before, or what
Okay.
we had from before, so we just kind of go off of that.
Okay.
From past like
Okay.
years.
Are we, I need to ask, are we at a position where we are looking for more money for our 4 staff people? When is the last time, or is
For a raise?
there a general county? In other words, are you going to catch a overall county, 3% cost of living boost or?
Typically, we get that at the end of the year. We haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah.
That's just.
Did you vote on that
The
normally at the
county
December
census.
meeting?
Yeah, because that's what we got this year, I think it was like a 2% raise that the commissioners gave us. They have a line item that's discretionary merit, and they provide that money in there, and we transfer it over to the salary line
Okay.
item that we get paid out of. So, I mean, if that's something, you wanted to discuss with them at the meeting, then.
Well, I just think we're gonna put it in the budget, and so this is the last time we're here as a group.
Well, they, that's something that they have added into the budget.
Okay,
We haven't voted on it.
right,
They
okay.
just- But I mean, if if
10 o'clock.
we're wanting to add in more than what they might.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what we're supposed to do or not do. I can't remember the last time we said to someone, no, we don't want to lose you, or we think you're deserving of this, that, or we haven't looked at it. And I'm particularly thinking of the clerks. But the reason I say it is I can't tell you how much they make per hour or anything else.
Yeah, Melissa makes about $14.50, I think, or $14.85. And then I think Emily's like at 13.
They're saying the commissioners already have a built-in 2 or 3%.
They have been,
in the
it's to
past.
their discretion, how much each year. But they've typically gave like a 2% or a 3%.
From the customer.
Yeah, that's across for the whole meal.
Right.
In the past, they don't, like Karen said, they don't normally announce that until towards the end of the year.
They see how much money they have left over.
Yeah, I guess, how much they can, afford. But if we wanted to, work anything into our own budget, that's something we.
Well, again, I
to give
just
more
didn't
maybe
know
than what they
if-
offer.
It seems to me in the past, way back in the past, after you'd been here like 3-4 years or something, we sort of added something up beyond what the county sort of a merit.
It's a bonus or as an increase in?
An increase in
In
pay
the hour,
and the hourly rate.
Yeah.
We just did it, partly we were, because if you've been here longer, sometimes if you get 2% on a bigger number is bigger than obviously 2% on a smaller number. And after a while, people who have been here so many years, I've always liked to have the person who's been here a little less time start to catch up to the other person because they're learning everything. And they've kind of reached the point where, we do continue to pay someone maybe a little extra for being here, but the other person ought to start to catch up because they're doing all the same work. And the only difference is they haven't been here quite as long, but they're still shoveling the same amount of coal, for lack of a better way of putting it. So I just didn't know if there's been any I just can't remember the history of the last time we looked and
I would say it's been a while, because I know we tried to, I'm trying to even remember. It was when Tom Cox was still here.
Yeah,
Anyway, had tried to do like a raise like that. And then the commissioners had kind of talked out of it, and we got extra vacation time instead of extra hourly pay. Because I think maybe that year the commissioners did not give a cost of living raise. And so
Wasn't that dealing with also when the sheriff's department did something?
Yeah, and maybe the
And
judges.
we did
Yeah,
a
maybe the
pay
judges or
raise
something too, yeah.
that in our budget, I think proposed a 5% pay raise. And it conflicted then with a contract that the county commissioners had with the sheriff's people that said that if any entity in the county got more than they contracted for, they had to pay it.
Yeah, it was something, yeah.
And frankly, what I remember most about it was Commissioner Feathers saying that no one paid a secretary $50,000 a year in this county. And I explained that wasn't true, that my law firm did. And there were 3 or 4 ladies in the audience who yelled simultaneously, "I want to go to work for him." And I tried to explain that the 2 secretaries he was talking about were the director and deputy director of the Board of Elections. And that I thought they did a little more than secretarial work. And then I pointed out to him that I've looked the Constitution over long and hard, and I can't find county commissioners in it, but I can find elections. And anyway.
Well, maybe I can work up something, to see.
Well, I don't know if we should. I mean, it's something the board should approve though, so I don't know that we get necessarily, I guess we could have a short meeting before the 24th, but we have to announce it to the public and make it a public meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
If you do a special.
Will you guys want to see the ballots before, or you're just,
The ballot says corrected, we've approved.
Okay.
So we're good there.
So, I
The only
didn't-
issue is whether, and again, I'm not trying to raise a ruckus. I just, sometimes folks don't say things about how much they're getting paid, but in their heart of hearts, they wonder why they aren't making a few more pennies per hour.
And some, other businesses have raised their,
Absolutely,
amounts.
absolutely.
The average is not the average, about the going rate for the larger employers, because we do it every year in our office.
Yeah.
Is usually around 3%. So in my office, that's, we hover between 2, 3, 4. 4 is exceptional work.
Yeah, well, yeah, see, in our office, we did twice yearly bonuses.
Well, we do bonuses and merited, but
Yeah,
for rate increases.
right. And,
If it's something we're interested in, what we could do, since we don't really even know what everybody makes to the penny, if the commissioners already usually raise you 2%, 2.5%, whatever it is, we as a board can say, we'll simply add 1 more percent. I mean, that's just a thought.
yeah,
We don't
no,
have to have-
And I could go get our payroll page and would have the exact of what everybody gets.
Yeah, or we can get it for a minute.
well, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to go on to the next item while, if you wanna
Yeah,
ask
I
one
can
of the
grab it, it'll just
ladies
take a
to
second.
grab it.
Yes, I can get it here.
Because we definitely need you to weigh in on ballot order numbers.
Well, if we want to save time, if we could go ahead, I know last meeting I wasn't here, but we talked about the increase of pay for our poll workers too. So these are the numbers that I came up with. We talked about, because as you can tell, these are counties of comparable sizes to ours. $125 for the basic public or poll worker, and that would be up from 100 and
For basic was like 101.
101.50.
I think.
101.50.
That's not including training.
Yes.
101.
We currently pay $10 for training. I'd like to see us increase that to 20. There are 2 trainings available, the in-person and the online. The leaders of the precinct, I'd like to bring them up to 130.
Where are they now?
Well, you help us out with lines.
Oh, I'm sorry, look underneath, I'm reading from the bottom, my own writing.
What was leaders getting paid before?
111.50.
Okay,
And you
And
wanna raise that
VLMs,
to
we're also making
120?
111.50.
130?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really think the increase for the VLMs needs to happen. We do pay them mileage, but they are responsible for the entire voting location.
Where they
And I-
paid now?
They get paid 111.50 as well. I'm not real sure why it was decided to pay both leaders and VLMs the same, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
leaders make all the calls to the poll workers, VLMs run the whole polling location. So if we did this, the final would be $29,885 for payroll for poll workers. Obviously, twice
Say
a
that number
year.
again.
$29,885. So approximately $60,000 for both the primary and the general. And I do have to, if you approve this, I have to take it to the commissioners as well.
That's probably,
They have to
something we need to talk to them at the budget meeting.
Well, let's, well.
I was gonna go tomorrow, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, you could mention it.
Yeah, I just wanted to think about it and then we can talk about it at the budget.
Yeah.
All right.
I did know they have to approve it as well.
So again, just refresh for me, how many line items are we tinkering with?
Doesn't say, we're just the top.
Oh, no, I get that. But you're talking about basic, leader, VLM, and training. So I had 4, I just making sure.
Yes, you have 4, yes.
Okay. So the training would jump to 20, the basic would go from 101.50 to 125? the leader is 130, and that was 111.50.
Mm-hmm.
And the VLM, of which there'd be 13 of them at this point, would be 145.
Yes,
And you said the whole total then pops up to $29,885.
yes,
Times 2.
times 2.
Times 2
Yeah, per
elections.
election.
But is this a maximum payout if we're using the maximum number of poll workers?
This is with the 150 poll workers that we used in November of last year.
So that would be the max number.
That would be the max. Now, obviously, we had a smaller primary this year. We didn't use as much because not all polling locations were open. The primary next year all polling
All will be
locations will
open,
open. will open
And the
this
general
year.
will all be.
And the general will be all. So yes, we'll definitely have nearly $60,000 for poll worker
So
pay.
is that a jump? What was the number that we had before?
I had a list of, for our budget in here, we were budgeted for poll workers 30,000 for this whole year, for this year.
Well, and this is, am I correct that this would start in May of 22?
Yes, this
Right.
would be in next year's
But
budget.
where are we at on our budget this year?
We have almost 21,000 left. We have 20,928.72.
So we're gonna have to put some money in.
So we're gonna be short, which one of these numbers? I see 19, 6, and 25 at the bottom.
Because my math is crazy. What you need to look at, it's not on there, I wrote it on mine, was I have the 15,500, that's for the basic PEOs. I have 6,000 for training.
No, I don't want the new number. I
Oh,
want the
the old
number
number.
today.
Okay, I don't have those in front of me, Andy, do you?
No, I don't have.
Was a 23% increase for the basic, a 17% increase for the leader. I haven't
But if you look
What
at
we
the,
paid.
if you look at it, it puts
For the
us
last.
about in the middle of other counties. I mean, some counties, Knox County,
30%.
yeah, pays 130.
Well, the two counties that I kind of throw out are Belmont and
Yeah,
Athens.
but
Yeah.
when
Because
you weren't here
they
last,
got money that,
yeah, you weren't here last month. One of the things we talked about is
Mhm.
it's not comparing apples to apples. Some of the
Yeah.
counties, just because you're of a similar size.
Mhm.
Some counties have more income than others.
Yeah.
Significantly more income than others.
Yeah. only because I know that, their PEO training in Belmont, they give people $125. Probably get a lot of people going to training.
I bet they would for that.
I guess, again, what I'm just trying to, at this point,
I was gonna say, I could go get our invoices from what we paid for the last couple elections. If you wanted that. Or if we wanna slowly maybe increase and only add more for training. Over
see,
training from
I think
$10 to the
that, I think the
$20.
$20 training is worthwhile because,
Mhm.
if,
They're here for, approximately 2 hours.
Yeah, it's at least a
yeah,
couple hours.
well, I'm just trying to
And the
encourage
online
folks to,
training probably takes about.
They need to do it, and we want them to do it.
Yeah.
yeah, to me,
The
that's
more opportunities for training, the
the
better.
important thing. And then, to me, quite frankly, people who are giving us their day, many of them are
Retired.
almost, and they're almost, in one sense, donating their time almost.
I gotta
They're
say,
doing it as a public service. I don't think they necessarily are figuring they're gonna go
Mhm.
to the bank and buy something special with it.
14-hour day is a long day,
But
guys,
if
for
it is
anybody.
a long day, I'll
I'm
grant you.
not comfortable with such big increases, percentage increases. I mean, percentage wise, 23%, 17%, 30%.
Mhm,
That is an enormous hike.
okay.
But again, I could see staggering it out over a period of, a goal of trying to get there in 4 or 5 years or something, but trying to encourage people.
You think a 15% hike? Charlie, you're the math teacher.
Well, I guess I'm not gonna start by looking at a percentage, but we're at 101, so we're just over, $100, right?
Right.
So what if that's, I don't know, 112? It's roughly $10 more.
I'm just trying to get away from the 50 cent. I'd like
No, I said
whole number.
112.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't want us to fall into the habit of trying to compare us necessarily with other counties.
Mhm.
Well, and if we make the training, the 101.50 right now, if it would be 121.50, they'd get paid if they do both trainings.
Yeah.
So then it'd be, if we make a $20 per training, then they'd be getting 141.50.
Well, if we did 15%, it would be 116.73.
I wanna separate.
I'm going to go 117.
Here we go. 112 times, and that was 124. That's 13. 120
Just make it
times
12 bucks to
50
haul.
equals 6,000.
Dennis.
And then 130 times 13 comes to 1690. So 1690, I guess. Plus. Plus 13.
Would you say the increase for the leaders would make it increase rate
17%.
17%, and then 30% for the BLMs?
Yeah. I don't see why we don't just add a flat increase to all of them. Whether it's $10 or $12, whatever.
Well, I
it
was
is.
just trying to split the leader and VLM.
But I do think the VLM has a greater responsibility.
Yes, they do.
Right.
So that one wouldn't be the same.
Right.
But as far as the other two,
Right.
just wanted to keep it at a flat
Mhm.
rate and make it easier. If it's an
Yeah.
increase of $12, then
Right. And that was 111, so, yeah, I only bumped that up to 850.
well, we
Because
stay
what
with
I
the whole
did was
numbers.
do 112, 120, and
For you, you
130.
go to 113 for the.
113?
Trying to get away from the
The
50
50 cents.
cents.
Right,
Yeah, 113.
So you'd basically be adding 1150 to the basic,
Uh-huh.
1150 to the leader. And then I think the VLM needs a greater increase.
So 123 for the leader,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we say
well, if it's for the day, 135,
135? I'm good with that.
123 versus 135.
So that would be 113 times
So I'm sorry.
125. 14.
This is the amount paid for the for these 14 hours is really, I agree, that's really a hard day. I just want to throw that out there.
So that would be 21,782 per election,
Okay, so it's up just a couple.
What'd you say, 21?
21,782.
So
I want to say before we were paying around 19 something, so.
113, 123,
130.
Okay, and then the training is still $20 per
Yeah.
And
training,
$20 for training.
and then mileage is set by the county.
Yeah, we follow.
I'm comfortable with that. I don't know the last time you guys raised it, so.
I don't believe we.
I don't think, since I've been on the board, it's been raised.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Do you think, Dennis?
No, we may have just created a spot and then that we never had voting location managers.
Right.
Remember, we just had the head of the precinct
Right.
and that was it. And then we eventually got around to somebody who was sort of in charge of the group and so forth and
and because leaders we didn't have before.
and again, to me, I think most of the folks who show up are going to be pretty gracious about, oh, we're getting a little extra money. I guess if they aren't, then, well, it is what it is. And again, I think the training's important because at the end of the day, it helps us provide the citizen with a better system.
Yeah.
The one thing I would like to see in training is to put your thinking cap on. If we get a chance as a board, would you make sure you invite us to a training?
That's on my agenda. I have it.
Because what I would like to see is some crisis management and force folks. What I want them to do is play the role of you getting a phone call about something not working. Because I think if we can get certain folks comfortable to answer their own questions, we won't get the phone call.
I will tell you, VLM training is October, and we're having a very intense VLM training.
Yeah,
They're gonna know those machines upside down.
inside. Well, that's what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
because I want them to have a call going, it won't work.
Yeah.
You put paper in, it won't work, it won't scan. won't do
And to be
this.
honest, in talking with other counties and RBM, that kind of training, not every poll worker needs to know that.
No.
The VLMs.
They did.
100%.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
So that is October. What did I move it to?
I'm gonna say we had to change.
I had to
Was
change
the
it.
second?
The second's the.
The other thing I would like to
Saturday.
see is a bit of a chain of command.
Okay,
The poll workers should be asking questions of their leader at the precinct. And then let the leader of the precinct go to the voting location manager. And my only reasoning behind that is that I've just seen personalities when we've gone out as a board. And I'm certain, Charlie, there are certain places we go where you're pretty well assured there's going to be a poll worker, it's going to walk up to you and squawk about something.
Yeah.
And wanted to make a phone call, or it turns out made a phone call. And saying, well, they're not doing it the way they're supposed to. And we end up spending 10 or 15 minutes explaining, no, they are doing it exactly as they were trained. And so I'd like to curtail some of that.
To change the subject, we need to make a motion on what we just discussed here on this.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Well, yeah. We're into something else. I thought we better take care of this before we move to something else.
okay. I'm waiting to get them.
all right, Charlie, what do you got?
Oh.
I think Kenita was waiting on you.
Well, I was, okay, I'll make a motion that we raise the basic PEOs to 113, the leaders of the precinct to 123, and the voter leaders management, BLM, yeah, to 135, and raise the training to $20 per training session.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes.
Okay.
All right, when did you say October? Because
I'm trying to get into my email and it won't let me.
naturally.
Love this authorization. Did you ever get in, was I supposed to come see you?
I have our payroll.
Yes.
You want to look at it anyhow.
I need to come down.
This is,
Is this a separate one for each of them?
no, this is just our whole packet from this time, so there's just one copy. But this is the name of the person and then
And you folks are.
the hourly pay. So this is the one, so Melissa was $14.50 and then Emily was $13.10. Yeah, and then me and Kaylin's was the same.
Right.
But that's how much, comes out to without taxes taken out yet. Or anything, or insurance or
that's just
anything
the-
else,
yeah.
yeah. That's the gross.
Okay.
And then that's the total
I hate this thing.
for each pay period. And then that's our time sheets we do.
Okay, so this is really what I was talking about.
But that's our latest one that I just put in last Friday.
Karen, have you gotten in?
No, it's telling me it's not the right verification of. Approve, sign
Do you folks have a calendar?
I thought I
Not
had
printed
it.
out, I don't think we had one. I was gonna say, did you need to go onto your desktop?
I'm gonna make a call.
Why don't we do it at the end?
Yeah. Hello?
Because that's just, if you can make it, it's not like we're gonna vote that we have to.
Hello?
Right, yeah, anything, yeah.
Ballot order numbers,
Yeah, in here, I actually did two different calculations. And you should have a packet that's, the chapter 4 from our election official manual. That's the guidelines for ballots that has, like how many we need to order. So they were saying in it to go back, let me find the page where that was on there. Page 4-17 is ballot quantities. It was saying, basically, we kind of fall under the number 2 that's on that page at the bottom. We don't really have ballot on demand at our polling location, but that's the thing that we kind of, with having the voting machines, since we're kind of a hybrid, we have some pre-printed ballots and we have some that are, then that most people vote on the touch screen. So it's saying the board must provide at least, each precinct at least 5% more than the ballots of the total electors of regular and provisional ballots in a precinct who voted in a previous like election. So it's saying if you're in the election for 2022 general, you would look back 4 years ago at the 2018 general election. So on the smaller sheet, I have there's a legal size one and then a letter size paper. On the letter size paper one, what we've been doing was ordering 30% more paper ballots than the previous like election. So since we're in 2021, I went back to 2017 on that one and used only those numbers. Then for the 5% that it's saying in the election official manual, I did that for the rolls of paper that go in the freedom vote, that go in the touchscreen machine. So that's how I calculated how many of the freedom vote ballots we needed. And then for paper ballots, I used a 30% that we've done before. And we have to, when we get the packets of them, they come in amounts of 25. So like the top one here for Belgrade 1A, the 30% was 69, so we'd have to order 75 ballots would be the actual order, I mean. In the rolls of freedom vote paper, you can get about 120 ballots printed per roll. So the FBT rolls, where it has 120/roll, that's because you can get 120 ballots per roll.
So if we're gonna be ordering roughly 140 then of the rolls.
Right, which I believe we already have. I don't think we'll need to actually order any for those.
Right.
And then the actual order amount for the total amount of ballots.
It's 47 to 75.
Now, if we wanted before, we went back like several years. We've looked back to see more than
This is
one.
bigger
So
sheet.
that's the longer, the legal size sheet. If we went back farther, years back instead of just 2017. I even included 2019 in that one. So if we went with that, we would order a total number of 5,364 ballots. And then we'd want to have 166 rolls of the freedom vote paper, which I do think we have at least that much anyway. And we want to keep some extra on hand here.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because most likely the price will go up on those rolls.
So we're really only talking about ordering the paper ballots, because we've got rolls.
Yeah.
Enough rolls.
Now, I just happened to look for what it's worth, not much, on page 19 of that 4-19.
Mhm.
Boards of election using DREs as their primary voting system on election day.
Which ours are not considered DREs.
Yeah, but in one sense they are, and
Right, I mean,
from the
yeah.
standpoint, it's a machine that's not going to require a paper ballot. Those people must provide backups, and it's just, I guess they leave it to the good, best practice or whatever, what
Yeah.
we've done in the past. We're almost doing that over here in the sense that,
Like with our 30%.
well, the one thing that caught my eye again is that I think there was a float in a parade this time that was paper ballots, hand counted.
I didn't see
It was
that
a
one.
big boat. Yeah.
I saw
delivery
that ship, but I didn't notice what it said on it.
Yeah, well, I did.
Was that from that group?
I think I was
Ohio
across the
Valley?
street.
I'm not sure, but I saw,
Yeah,
Lynn, that's been here to our meeting before, that was the lady that's been
yeah,
here.
she's.
I did
part of
see
that.
her, at the parade, but I wasn't sure what all she was doing while she was.
Well, I just wondered
But I
if,
still
Not
think we
here.
have enough paper ballots. I mean, even if we had a slight increase in people requesting paper ballots.
yeah, and we can print them.
Yeah,
And we
Because we have
print
the
some
ballot
here
on
and
demand
give
if we
it
have
to
to supplement.
yeah, so.
So is the Secretary of State requiring us to get 30% over or?
No, 30% is what we've just done in the past.
Okay.
What they're requiring is that we have at least 5% more than the most votes from the previous election, so from 2017. So I included that with our freedom vote paper.
Oh, from the previous election, not comparing it to last year.
Yeah, they're not
Okay.
requiring, I did the longer sheet because before, we went back farther years, like this one went back to 2009.
Yeah,
But they're not asking us to do that, they're saying that
that's
the
good.
previous election, so that was a little cheaper if we went.
Mhm.
I mean, about $1,000
30% is a good cushion.
Yeah,
And we haven't had, at least in the past, that many people ask for a paper ballot. So mostly they've been unused.
Right. What's the cost, what's it gonna, if we ordered that $47.75, what's that gonna
I
run?
think they were 45 cents a ballot. I didn't go
So
ahead and
call it-
double check yet.
So
but-
call it 50 and cut that number in half. We still got 20.
So I mean, so if we did it as 50 cents a ballot, that'd be $2,387.50.
Yeah.
Not counting any shipping, I mean, there's no shipping charge.
So you're gonna spend rounding
But
at
if you say-
$2,500
Yeah,
to provide people with a paper ballot that may or may.
What's the numbers in red?
at the bottom of that one, that was telling you the order,
Oh,
that 4775. Or the ones on the sheet, the legal size sheet, the ones that are in red, that was the highest number.
oh, okay.
So from the different years, that was the highest number.
Correct me, were there any taxes?
But no, we wouldn't be paying taxes.
No, I mean, there are no tax levies.
There are tax levies, you voted on all of those.
Yeah, but they're the, like renewals, a lot of township
There's
fire.
one new one.
Was there a
There's
big-
a couple of new memoirs, their cemetery levy was a new one.
Right. I guess I was thinking, and I'm not, I was thinking of a more populous, like one of the big school districts,
No school district
That
levy.
is school.
which tends to sometimes bring out people, I'm not saying people in Newmont won't be interested in the cemetery, but it's a smaller population that would be coming out.
Right, that would be.
And so it seems to me we don't have to account for a large number
Considering what I have in there for,
in that sense.
we had in 2017, 428 people voted there. So, and we were ordering 75
Which,
per ballot.
which seems like a,
Well, actually, we're ordering 150 there because we're ordering
for two,
75 for the village and 75 for the township.
right. So we're 150 on 400 some odd people.
Right.
To me, that's a whopping number.
So that might be a little more, than the 30%, just so it kind of evens out how many we're ordering for each split.
So do you need a vote?
Yeah, we need a motion of which numbers to go with.
I'm comfortable with the 4775.
Oh, yeah, I would
I kind of
want
thought
to go.
that was good myself,
Yeah.
so.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the ballot order request for a 30% increase, paper ballots totaling 4775.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All right.
And then was the voting machine allocation was that one?
And I think that's the small one with the yellow
Yeah, it
stripe
has a
on
yellow
it.
stripe on it. So these are the same that we have done at the past election. I thought they seemed like they worked out okay, our numbers. So I didn't change. The numbers in yellow there is the total of everything. So like for the first Church of the Nazarene, there's 4 precincts there. So we have 4 poll books, 2 bases for the scanners, 9 freedom votes, and then they'll have 1 ADA. Every location has 1 ADA freedom vote. That's the FDT.
That works out well as far as the delivery logistics of it, and not only that, but since we're gonna have a small turnout with this off election, I'm gonna guess that'd break back up as well, so I'd keep it whatever you have.
And everything's they're all labeled with, for these numbers at the locations.
Will we be taking the shields this time?
We haven't actually actually got anything from the Secretary of State yet about our
I'm
use of
hoping we don't.
TV.
They were a pain. Remember, we had to get a special
What?
van and I just leave not do that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're told we have
I was
to.
gonna say, I think we just have to.
I'm not sure we can't
If they
get them.
don't say anything, we won't take them.
Yeah.
So we'll,
Okay, that's probably a good thing. Don't say, you know,
and we might still provide like our poll workers, we have face shields for them and masks, so if they want to wear them. If we're not told,
How many
we
of
might
them
give them, so they have that
Frankly,
option if they want
everybody's-
to, I mean.
Got that stuff, so.
Well, most people have their
I'm not sure
own,
we need to
but
provide
we have it here.
Yeah, we don't have to buy any
Available, we don't need to
this
buy
year.
any if they tell us to use it, because we have enough left over. We have gloves,
We have
still, we
plenty
have
left over to get
plenty of
through this
masks, hand
election.
sanitizer. So I mean, we'll probably send it just because we have
Next
it,
May, we have to
even if
buy
we're not
more, but
told.
we have plenty.
So
You know, I
if they
noticed there
wanted,
was
you know, to make them comfortable.
something in a directive or in something in what I read, that there was some requirement, I think it was, for you to go through what you have.
Yeah, we had to.
And we had to do a survey, yeah, we had to do a survey.
So I'm guessing they'll take that survey and they'll turn it around and send something back that
Mhm.
probably says,
That will
if
be
you got
to-
it, send it out, or just send it out and get rid of it.
And they maybe wait until closer to the election so that,
Are the
See
shields
what-
still in pretty decent shape?
yeah, oh yeah, we never used them.
Yeah,
That, my favorite was the plastic suits. Oh, I mean, they really were
yeah,
good.
we did have those gowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gowns were really
Yeah,
good.
Really clear.
Janine and I had to go.
Dress
So yeah, you guys did that to vote somebody, yeah.
Yes.
They were hilarious. I mean, they were. We shouldn't make fun of them, but
Ghostbusters did.
Yeah, we
But
took a
none of us
picture
got
of it.
COVID from voting.
Yeah, that's right, we had
People that were
15,000 people come through here and none of us
Yeah.
got COVID, so.
Alright, so you need a vote for the allocations?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed voting machine allocations of such in this handy dandy chart.
Oh, I was gonna let you say.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. We've sort of discussed
Yeah, that was
our,
the way, and we have started,
yeah,
started that process, and that's, and we had that stuff verified. In 20. And then you have a copy of the budget numbers, there, and this was as of, this included the bills that we voted on today. So this is with the money taken out.
so our balance over here is good to go?
Yeah,
So the contract services, which would have included RBM,
yeah, that included, so that's what
so
we have
that
left
number
after
is
that.
what we have left?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the advertising and running. We will have soon, they have we have to have a voter registration ad in the newspaper on, I think it has to be in there on the 21st. And, so I've submitted that to, the Marietta Times, but they haven't billed us yet. They still have to send me a proof, they haven't sent me the proof even yet, but, so that'll come out of advertising and running, but.
Well, we're gonna consider that we're definitely gonna empty the salary official, salary employee.
Right, and the
The
poll
poll
worker,
workers, that's gonna go, right?
yeah, and the seasonal worker.
Seasonal workers should probably go. Medicare is just, it is what it is, it is what it is.
Discretionary merit is what?
That's the one where they, the commissioners put in for any pay raise for us. So they'll calculate,
Right.
they calculate that up themselves, put in there what they think. Based on, because we had 3,700 was what they gave us this year that we divided out for the pay raises.
So are we doing poll worker training?
Yes,
All right, so we'll have poll worker training in addition to
VLM.
the BLMs and so forth. So that number's probably gonna disappear for the most part, that 1,100. Travel, we're probably gonna have something left over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we don't.
Contract services, probably left over.
What's that?
That's like the
RBMs and the
RBMs,
no.
no weeks.
Okay.
And then we pay, like the Sunlink bill, we pay out of there.
Do we have something in years past that comes up and we pay at the end of the year
We'll have, well, like our ballots, we'll order them, come out of the advertising and printing.
Right, I'm still on
So we'll
contract
still be
services.
paying. We'll probably have, trying to think what else will have come out of. Usually Triad will bill us at the end of the year for next year's fees.
Right.
That would come out of contract services.
Right, we
And
tend to
that's
pay.
about 19,000.
All right, so call it 20, just for my math, gets you down to 44.
I'm trying to think of what else we would,
RBM, what they're going to do during the election, we've already approved,
right,
and that's been taken out of this
yeah,
number.
unless they have to have an extra day, maybe for something.
What about knowing?
Unforeseen. Knowing we've paid their maintenance fee for the year. I'm not 100% sure if they'll have anything else. They might have something that would be, I know we pay for them a fee for maintaining, like, doing updates. But I want to say we've already paid that for 21. Yeah, so I don't think we'll have.
Well, probably good if you would just check, see if there's
I can
anything.
look back.
Because I'm trying to figure out where you're 44 to the good. Not that it's a bad thing, but I'm just trying to figure out how we thought we were.
Well, when I was looking at this, I mean, we're a little over half the year now. We've used a little over half of our budget we were given for the year, so.
All right, then supplies, that just is what it is. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I figure we'll have some.
The equipment is to buy more equipment, right?
Yeah,
That's not, okay. And so
and then the other.
are we as
expenses.
up to date on equipment as we ought to be?
I
I
think,
mean, our computers are in good shape.
yeah, we just had updated them.
Our run-of-the-mill printers are in good shape.
So far, things are going,
Yeah, I mean, they're not aging out is what I'm getting at or
Right, not
something, you
yet.
know.
Well, basically, the only equipment was our Zoom equipment that we got.
Right,
you know,
which is very handy.
it has came in handy.
Jed, is there anything equipment-wise you're thinking of going,
No,
geez, we needed a dolly, or if they had one of these whipty-dippty whatevers?
I need to buy the wheels.
Oh,
wheels, we need
you
to
need to get the wheels.
Yeah, I need to get the wheels.
short of
So
that,
there's cards.
So,
The big wheels.
Yeah,
they were good, but no, we don't need dollies or
Yeah.
anything. I can
and
make
I
that.
think that was around, what, $430 when I figured out when
I
we looked
can't
at that
remember,
before.
yeah.
All right,
Oh, and the United rental for the trucks, that'll come out of the contract services,
oh, okay, well,
yeah.
yeah, I won't think much.
You know, the tapes that we said you had plenty, will that run us low if we have any money left over supplies, should we
For the
order
free
some
little
more?
paper, we need to do an inventory, but yeah, I mean, we could purchase some of those.
That's what I'm saying, you know, if we get the money, extra money,
Yeah,
crazy not to order.
Well,
And if they're cheaper now, the
Yeah,
price will go up.
that's the other thing.
again, if we could contact and see if we can get them through that, purchase,
through DAS.
the DAS
Yeah, I don't
purchase
know if we
system.
might be able to or not.
See if they knock, so many,
Wonder if they have that
pennies
access
off
to
a
that.
ballot or
I
whatever.
don't know, because normally we order them from RBM. So I don't know, that's something we'd have to check.
Well, again, my only thought is, I doubt things are going to get less expensive.
Right.
So if we're taking a lump out, I'd like to make sure that we're in good shape, because we're going to have two elections where we're certainly going to be producing a lot of ballots.
Right.
That's my
Yeah. And we
anticipation.
did buy a lot of extra blank ballot stock last year, because we wanted to make sure we had plenty. And so we still have a lot of that left, so we'll have enough for this election and probably a little bit for next year.
Right, well, again, if
So we
there's,
can check, yeah,
check on
that
those,
too.
if we just do the inventory, because, again, I just don't wanna, that wouldn't be wise to be paying extra.
Right. And since there's been a lot of shortages on things in general, you know, for,
Now, I figure paper has no shelf life problem.
I think as
Do
long as
the
it
rolls
doesn't
have
get,
shelf life problems?
as long as they're not, exposed to humidity, they stay,
Because of that thermal paper,
yeah.
Apparently that means our air conditioning has to work.
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
which our air vent, like the one up here that's out by Melissa and Emily, those have gotten stuck and were not working recently, so we called Jamie from upstairs and he got Morrison's to come in and so they're working again.
Oh.
The only other thing I know
So
we
this one
need,
was working, but the ones out at there,
we want those bags that go into each of the OVOs.
yeah, and I did bring,
Yes,
I found my email from Ashland County and they told us they got theirs, let me find it here. It was from a company called Hold True. They're out of Mansfield, Ohio. They said they purchased them for $120 a piece. And so they bought them, I think, I don't know how long ago, but the price might be a little
I
different.
can go down and get a portable laundry.
Yeah, but I looked up the company and I mean, they're like a manufacturer that, you know, makes all kinds of different things. So they would have custom made these for Ashland County.
What's the matter with our OVO?
I mean, you said it's
Well, this is
like a
just a
bag.
bag.
I know.
So at the end of the night, the whole
Is it a
doesn't have
coach
to
or
pull
a-
the ballots out of the box. They just pull that whole bin out of the box
Okay.
and roll with it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's important that we do that here for early voting.
Yeah,
So we can take that out.
How it happened last
Yeah.
time.
Well, we don't want to take it out every night. We just want to take it out when we change
Yeah,
the top.
yeah,
Change the
yeah.
top, yeah.
I bet we could get some Girl Scout troops to
I,
set up some for a service project. I'm serious.
well, I have to see, are there hooks inside there?
I didn't print off the picture of them, but they were just kind of they were a fabric bag that I think had like a skeleton, you know, basically kind of in
a
a
built-in frame.
yeah, frame that would keep it standing up. And then they were fabric, but it was like a plastic, I think, kind of. And it said Ashland County Board of Elections on the top of it, and it had like for your suitcase, the handle that comes up and it had wheels.
So we have 26 OVOs.
That's a little fancier than I thought.
Yeah. And it had I think it's zippered closed. Had a zipper on them.
Is that all of our OVOs or
We
we have
have 30,
30? So that's,
but we used 26 of them. So we have extras. You know, in
I'm
case
serious, we
something
could go to the
happens.
dollar store and get a canvas bag, get some hooks.
Just put grommets in them.
So,
Well,
I
let's get
think that's
something
something
that
we can
works.
still think about.
I
You
know,
don't have
I know.
to-
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
get
we have
something.
time, but that would be very, very beneficial. I think that would help a lot.
Now, I think was it RBM? I know when we were deciding what machines to get, somebody had like a box, an actual plastic box that sat down in there. Maybe it was ES&S that had those. So that they would just drop down in. But it was something they offered, but I think they were probably more than $120, but it was like I think it was a collapsible plastic box.
Well,
If you
and
were
this
26,
way,
that's a lot of money.
can they not, the VLMs can just take those out, tie it up, and can that come back to us?
What do you mean, if we put like a bag?
Yeah, if we get these bags, or do
Well,
they
they
still have to
zip.
put them,
No, I mean, these ones zip so you could lock them.
so you could lock them?
Yeah.
So that's what would be
Yeah,
coming.
but they have to be in something that would lock.
Yeah, you have to be something secure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do some internet searching and see if I can find
So,
something.
and this was just a company, that was a company they used.
That's a.
Yeah, I mean, we could look at other companies, but I think
I
that
mean, if
we're,
it's a Kate Spade or, a, you know,
yeah,
Michael Kors, I can understand that.
designer. But I'm pretty sure these were probably specially made for them, because I don't think it's something that they
Oh,
normally
really?
make.
Oh,
So I would
okay.
say they specially
Okay.
made them
Okay.
for them. They kind of look like they're more like they don't have a product that they specifically just manufacture. They make things to order or whatever.
What was the name of the company?
Hold True. Hold dash True, and they're out of Mansfield, Ohio. I mean, it's kind of nice it's an Ohio company that we're
Yeah.
making them if we
I
want.
like that.
Yeah, I like that, but. And their Dropbox they used was ordered through budgetmailboxes.com. And they paid $700 for it. For the Dropbox. And it was one, it's not like ours, it was like on a post. And then so you'd had just like a top
Oh, so
part
you
that
don't have
was
a
like,
whole lot of room.
so it wasn't as big. I mean, I don't know what the dimensions were, but it was, wouldn't hold as many as ours.
I did talk to Jamie Bates and asked if they were having any problems with
Oh, yeah, what's there?
rain, or you know how I said that we sometimes collect rain in that thing. And she said they did not, so I'm still need to get in touch with that company and see what they suggest.
Well, and then,
Maybe a bag like we're looking for the OEOs.
well, I don't know if that would keep the stuff dry.
Because it collects right in one area.
No, well, yeah, that's a puzzling thing, isn't it? I mean, it really is.
The juvenile center has some chairs that they were giving away. Here's a picture of the chairs. Because some of our green chairs that we're sitting in here have problems like.
Oh,
Or
I thought mine was kind of traveling.
So, but these would be free to us if we wanted them. If no one else has taken them, yeah. They even done out yesterday.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if we were interested.
How many did they have, did they say?
I think it might just be what's in that picture, which
Oh.
looked like 5. But we could get rid of our worst
Yeah.
Chairs.
Yeah.
Why
We
not?
wanted to-
How many?
I think there was 5 of them.
So we're gonna add 5 chairs, so we want to take away 5
Yeah, so
chairs.
we would get rid of our worst
Amen.
vendors here.
Did we want to get rid of our, see if the juvenile center wanted our
Voting booths.
exercise equipment?
Yeah, I don't know if we want to. I think our staff might still want to try to.
How long has that stuff been in there?
Oh, really?
We've had it at least a couple of years.
Since
And how
we moved
often
It's not
has
since we
it
moved.
been used?
A little bit, but not much.
Alright,
How much time did it spend, ask this, how much time did it spend over in,
Well,
The
I'd say
other
most
side
of
of the
2020 probably.
get rid of it.
Because 2020 was pretty good.
Well, I was gonna say, we didn't have time in 2020 to use it.
Yeah.
and
We
you,
got our
excuse me, 22 is
Next year's
gonna be
gonna be better. Yeah.
you just handed us a calendar you can't read.
Get rid of it.
It was
I
a
am here to
grant.
tell you, I think we ought
It
to
was a
hand it out.
grant, I guess.
Because the other thing is, folks, have we made any progress? We've talked about it now for over 2 years. Are those voting booths still sitting there?
They are.
But we have a county that wants the measurements, so. we will
I
get
know,
one out
I've
there.
heard this dog and
I
pony show
know.
forever. My 2 cents worth is,
Dump them.
we want those gone before October's meeting. Is that fair?
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
All righty.
And the
It will be.
exercise
Is that,
equipment.
I think we want to get rid of it, yeah.
Get rid of the exercise equipment.
We need to open that space up. At the end of the day, we are conducting an election. And the thing that bothers me is when we have these busy elections, how many times have we been back there? Remember back when we were stuffing? I mean, there's stuff laying there. The only human beings that understand what's going on are the 4 that regularly work here. And I'm not saying a cataclysmic event could occur, but if we don't have people in, we could be having this laying there, that laying there, and not a snowball's prayer that we would know how to put it back together or do it. So I think it's critical. Because again, one of you might just move something and go, I'll get to it tomorrow, and then you're unable to come in for that tomorrow, et cetera. And we're trying to find it. We just, if nothing else, there's the appearance, it looks disorganized.
Mhm.
I know you know where things are,
Right.
but the look is, boy, I wonder, what's that, what's this, what's that? And we built more shelves, sort of on top of where we had shelves, and things are just in there. And again, we've got stuff that we tried to hand away, some of those old poll book folders.
Yeah.
And somebody took a couple of them, but we didn't get rid of the rest. And I think, we
I think
have
those
the
were
opinion
just
it's time for those to go.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do,
Shelving
since I've
space.
personally been in the dumpster business here the last week, I just ordered a 30 cubic yard dumpster at my house because I was purging it, and it's already filled, and that was out of 2 rooms. So, yeah, I'm a hoarder.
I think the other
Anyway.
thing you could do is, when we get youth, if not youth at the booth, what about calling up some places and seeing if we can get some interns?
Yeah,
We have somebody go back in. We're not gonna be able to do it probably in 22.
yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of
We gotta do it
activity
now.
that's going to need your hands-on. If we have some spare time, this is the time for a person to be able to go back there and go, we're gonna be able to get rid of that, we're gonna be able to get rid of that, we're gonna line this up, we're gonna do that, we're gonna have this whole list, here are the pictures, send it out to whomever. We don't get any bites, gone.
I
We
understand
did
there's
get
a,
rid of all those plastic chairs.
Yeah, we did get rid of them.
Right, and
So
that's-
we at least did
right.
something.
Well, that's not my point. My point is, at this point,
Don't get defensive, just get rid of the rest of the stuff.
yeah,
I understand.
exercise equipment.
I need to find out, I understand there's a guy that owns a trailer and that he will come wherever and we load it and then he takes it to the landfill.
Yeah,
So, I may try to figure, because that might be our best bet, because I'm sure Waste
Yeah, we don't
Management's
wanna-
not gonna be very happy if we put the 60
We
of
don't have the
those.
room to put that in. the
So we
but we
need to figure out how.
need to be moving.
Yeah.
Again, you get rid of boxes and then you collect them again and I go back in and you get rid of some.
Yeah.
I just, this is the time to get this done. Again, we may have far more observers. Again, I want to.
That's true.
I
Well,
want,
for next year, I
I'm just saying, I want
imagine.
people to have a comfort level that, it looks like we're in good shape. The other thing is all that equipment, if we're storing up old equipment from past history, we need to,
Yeah, we don't have any of the old voting equipment.
yeah. But anything else we have that
Yeah.
that might have serviced it, I mean, I just see boxes that have some old things in it, that we're probably not using nowadays, or we're replacing them because the secretary's giving us new, we voted in Ohio or whatever stickers,
Yeah.
et cetera, and you have a box of old ones. So anyway,
The VLM training is Friday, October 1st.
October 1st.
And then the poll worker training will be, I think the week after. And I'll send that out to you as well, but
October 1st.
I'm going to probably have 2 different sessions, probably a morning session. This will just be with the 13 VLMs. So probably a morning session and an afternoon session. I think that's the one where you really, I'm assuming that's the one that you guys want to come to make sure those VLMs understand that machine is. And Mike and I
Was it Jen, if you wanted to come?
Oh,
Jen,
yeah.
if you could come in.
Yeah, they need to know what the setup
Yeah.
crew knows. They really do.
What time?
I've got it all day. I'm probably gonna start at 9,
What
probably
day?
9 to 11, and then maybe 1 to 3. And, you'll be, I'm glad to know, I think we're gonna have a new VLM at Porterville,
What date was that, Karen?
October 1st, Friday. The former VLM, I think, is going to come back, so.
I think she had called while you were off.
Yeah, she did. She left me a message, so.
Yeah, so that's good.
So, and remember, we're also going with a runner's system too. So as soon as the polls close, Dean and I are gonna bring those
Right.
TMs back
Yes.
into us.
Right.
You'll call it Friday.
Yeah, you'll call Friday, those are our military and overseas voters. So this September 17th is the 46th day before the election.
What was your other date?
Um,
What was your other one?
So you and have to be here for that and send out any, you'll call the ballots that would, and I don't think we actually have any yet. But if we would get some, we have to send them out that day. Where the Secretary of State will have our heads, basically.
And again, we print those.
Yeah, we'll print those off.
Those are
Or
made out of our-
they can have theirs emailed, so some of them, we actually print it off and then scan it in to them, but they can't have theirs emailed.
Right.
If they, or faxed, if they want. Most people don't do fax, they'll do email or, mail.
So we're prepared for that.
Yeah, and I figure next year we'll have a lot of those. We had a lot last year, for 2020. So next year will be, people will be more interested than this year.
And then RBM, again, this is part of what we paid for.
Yeah, and we had that on there for the last.
Right.
It was already
What's LNA
scheduled,
stand for?
but logic and accuracy. So what it does is it makes sure, that the machine reads the ballot correctly. So we double check the results to make sure it's reading it right.
Poll worker training is Tuesday, October 19th, Thursday, October 21st, and Friday, October 22nd.
19, 21, and 22.
Yeah, I couldn't get the EOC on Wednesday. And those will probably do morning, afternoon, and 2 evening sessions.
And we'll need to try to get,
So if we can get those.
for our next meeting is October 13th. We'll be voting then, so we'll have voting in here.
So we'll have to.
So we'll have to try to get the EOC for that.
Yeah,
for our next
right,
meeting.
EOC, October 13th. Let's see.
What'd you see? Early voting starts when?
It's the 5th. So that should be,
And while we're on that, everybody's good?
Yes.
because October 4th will be the voter registration deadline, which will be open till 9 PM that night.
And remember on, what do you want to do about, in October, just so I'm thinking about it. We're gonna do food, lunch and dinner.
For election day?
Yeah, it's historically been a slower day. So the only other thing would be on election day is,
It's November 2nd. So it's up to you guys. if you
Again,
wanna do
well, it's been our history to travel. So we could, I was just asking to see if everyone's calendar, whether you wanted to do it in the afternoon or the morning. If we were gonna go visit all of them.
You're talking about election day.
Yeah, Board of Elections taking a trip around to see how everybody's doing. And that's November 2.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I marked the whole day off, just
And those other days for the poll worker training, I mean, that's up to you if you want to attend those. You don't have to obviously attend
Well,
each
I-
session.
put it down here. I'll see. I would like to come to the BLS. just
Yeah.
'cause
I am out of town.
I really want to, I also want to make sure if you were to send me out at 6:30 in the morning,
To work on something. We need to make sure David
you know.
is here for that as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna be to get a hold of David
Yeah.
White.
Well, I've got that to discuss. I mean,
Okay.
who we've got, we got to get a list on here soon.
Mhm.
I'm not sure Tom has recovered enough to, I haven't talked to him. I will call him.
Okay. I know I told my party that we are looking for delivery workers as well. So,
Well, why don't we talk about that? Because we have to get prepared
Yeah.
and we have to have our ducks in a row come our next meeting.
The only ones that I have would be Mike, he'll be with us, of course. Maybe Tom, I don't know, since he got hurt, I don't know whether he's
I
gonna
know he
be.
had surgery.
But
so-
Dennis, I haven't talked to Dennis, anybody heard from him?
The only thing I heard was Emily saw him on a TV thing for WTAP for some sports, I think it was. And she said he didn't seem as good as he had.
Yeah, kind of wonder, so really all we're looking at here is Mike and David and Tom if he comes and myself.
Mhm.
And I did have one name, Tom Pepper approached me, wanted to know if they needed anybody to work.
How many do we need? Or we
Just-
do-
just
It would be nice to have 2 and 2.
I'm just throwing it
This
out.
is 6, so 3 of these.
We need 6, yeah,
We need 6?
yeah. And you know, I don't know, of course, I'm gonna be, the only way I could possibly work would be on the southern end.
Mhm.
Charlie,
Cannot be close to,
Charlie.
and I question whether I
Yeah, I
can
think
even
he's
work
interested.
early
I've
voting.
talked to him a couple times about it.
I mean, I don't really,
Yeah,
We'll see
that's a
after we leave
conflict.
here, so I'll have to mention it again.
Early, yeah, he probably cannot work
I'd
early.
say no.
No, we would not wanna, that would look, could have a bad look.
Good work.
Well, I don't
Early
know if
voting,
we
he's on the ballot.
Oh,
I don't think it'd be a big rush.
The early
No.
voting, just.
I was gonna say, we're probably gonna have Sheila come in
Sheila,
and,
yeah.
and
Turn
Anita.
on average.
I would say, let me look at
And
my,
17.
where's that put mine?
Not having given up on Joe.
Was 33%.
And Jeff was, I mean, you guys had it down pat.
He just likes people that
This
you
is
have.
our turnout.
Yeah, I was looking at percentage.
yeah,
Yeah, so in,
17.
yeah, in 17.
Yeah,
it
that's
was
a possibility.
Right.
Yeah, and we had 15 was 43.
You know it very well.
13 was 27.
Yeah.
But there's not any
And
thing on
again,
that I think.
a higher number might have been a
I don't know if he's a manual labor person or
I
not.
don't know either.
That's,
So
I
that's
feel
why
like
I
he's not.
think
Yeah, so I don't.
we're gonna be
You know, it's
comfortable.
worth,
And there's
worth
no
asking.
issues, they're not gonna state issues.
And if we needed to, if
Yeah,
we
that
just
farm there on-
decided number-wise to bring in a couple of people to work,
No, he
as
owns
you
the
have
car
in the
wash
past,
and.
Yeah.
No.
then you'll have
That's
plenty,
called Russ.
that'll be plenty of human beings to
He
take
doesn't
care
have
of
a
the
farm
front,
that I know of.
Yeah.
look after it, but if it needs a little help.
There was-
The other thing is we're getting further in, so probably fewer voters will need help.
I
Right.
don't think that's him.
No, I don't
Since they
think
don't
it's
use the
Bob.
machine anymore.
They're a little
We're
more
talking about-
Probably younger,
and so forth.
Yeah.
And did we change the age?
Middle age.
Yeah, they changed the,
Probably
where it says
late
like
40s, would you say?
61, where there was a problem with that,
Yeah.
they fixed that.
Good,
From Belgrade?
Yeah.
No way.
because I knew.
You don't think he's that old?
But I'm like,
Right.
I
my
don't think
wife
he's that
asked.
young.
Oh, you don't think he's that young?
That's the
Okay.
wrong
I
word.
know, and I said, we never get
I'd say
anybody
he's
that
in
reads
his
anything until it's something like that.
Oh, that's got.
So, and so he did change that.
Well, we can just look at.
I will tell you, Robin Bosian said that she would be willing to work. She said, she asked me, she goes, can you lift it? And I said, well, it's a lot of
Yeah, she
pushing.
can handle it, yeah.
I think she could handle it, so she probably will.
So really, we just need one more, we
Okay,
probably
so-
can,
And they're talking,
Oh. We'll come up with some names and ask him.
yeah.
So we'll have our ducks in a row come October, and that way we can set our schedule. Because again, Jed is we're gonna have to keep him away from his end of the
Yeah.
market.
yeah,
Yeah, but you could do the other side of the.
I think we're gonna be in good shape as far as in-house voting and so forth. We were looking at percentages, the 30%. You know, 1 year it's 40, 1 year it's 27, the last one, 17, was 33. So I think
Born in
we're gonna
54.
have manageable numbers for the staff and maybe 1 or 2 extra people.
okay.
He is in
That's
his
great.
60s.
I think that's
I thought he
perfect.
was younger now.
That way, if we do still
course, the
have a lot,
girl-
I mean, we're
lady
still
he's
gonna have
dating
quite a
is in
few
her
absentees.
62.
And that way, the
maybe.
4 of us can work on the absentees like we have
Exactly,
been,
yeah,
and then
Yeah,
those two
because
can vote
the
them.
key to the absentees, make sure we get the envelopes into the machine.
Yeah,
All right. Is there anything else that we, that otherwise, I mean, we looked at the comp times and.
Well, the only other thing we got on the agenda was supposed to be on there would be, those guys' hourly pay.
You already
Oh,
approved
yeah,
that.
I'm sorry.
We didn't do that because you weren't here last month.
She was here last month, I wasn't. here
Whatever you
last-
was talking about, we was gonna talk about, didn't we?
I thought we did that. Hold on.
Who's
Because
that?
I was thinking you decided not to pay them more per
Okay,
hour.
okay,
Or no,
okay.
you decided to do, if they help with absentee voting, they'd get $9.
I didn't think we made a decision, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
I think it was, if they did the same work in the office, they'd get paid the $9 per hour. But if not, then they get their same hourly because they got the stipend.
Because we get the vote, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I was thinking it was
I didn't think we made a decision. I know we did. What you said, I remember us discussing.
Yeah,
But I don't remember
yeah,
making
we
a decision.
did theirs, but we didn't do.
We were all here.
You were all here, I wasn't here last month.
And we may have to do a cybersecurity training again. The state has emailed about that. So if we want to do the one that was sponsored by the Secretary of State, so I told them that would be good, we'd want to do that. So I haven't heard back from them yet when that'll start.
And the board members have to take it as well.
So the first step.
Is that the one on,
Online?
online?
Yeah, it'd be online for, like phishing campaigns and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
It's the one that they made me take it 1.5 times. Because my machine it would not say I completed it, even though I completed it.
Yeah.
For your information, we were talking about pay for the staff. The director and deputy director make $28.27 per hour. The Melissa makes $14.50. And Emily makes $13.10. This is just current, so I guess if there's a 2% raise,
So like
what's 102% of 1450?
it'd be $14.79.
Yeah. Wow. And then 1310 to 1479 versus
13.36.
36. So it's roughly $1.50 an hour, right? Difference?
Yeah, so, for Emily's, I mean, it'd be like 26 cents an hour.
So does that come to $60 a week? If it's $1.50, I mean, you probably got the precise number, 40.
Well, because then for Melissa, that would have been 29 cents more per.
Well, I was just multiplying out your paycheck
So we do
times 40
14.
hours.
Well, this is, for 80 hours is what's the total.
Oh. So I need to double, that's 120.
So 14.79 if you get paid that, makes it 11,830.20.
Right. Oh, I got that
So,
part,
yeah.
but I was just doing the differential. It's $1.3043. Right?
Yep.
Times 80.
That would be $114.40.
Yeah, that's the paycheck differential. Again, I'm not saying Melissa's not worth every penny. I think they're worth those pennies and more, but there's probably a limit to them. So are we thinking the county commissioners are gonna hit 2%?
I would say they'd at least do that.
That's what they gave
That's
the
just a
townships.
guess. I mean,
That's what they gave the townships, 2% more.
since that's what.
But we started at
2% was
4,
last
so-
year.
Right,
So,
all right. Well, I'm just saying that'll be the end result if we didn't do
right, how much
anything
they get
different.
per, yeah.
So. But anyway, satisfied my curiosity.
Alright.
So is there anything
Are we
else?
gonna go, just are we going to consider what you mentioned about giving Emily a little bit more to kind of near the gap?
Well, how many years has she been here?
It was in 2017 she started,
So 4 years.
so it was 4 years in January.
And Melissa?
She started in October of 2011, so it'll be 10
She's 10
years in
years.
October, yeah.
And certainly talking with both of them, they answer virtually every question that our director and deputy director answer
Mhm,
in many respects. And they certainly know the areas where they have to ask you,
mhm.
you know, for that guidance and so forth. So they're knowledgeable.
Mhm.
They're, I mean, we couldn't do it without them, for sure.
Oh,
be
heavens
sure.
no,
Yeah,
heavens no.
Um,
Well, and I thought at one time, and I never even brought this up to Mandy, but I was just thinking, you know, I don't know if it would be beneficial because of how much comp and flex time that the other three have, if it would be beneficial to pay some of that out, just so it's not on our books, because if God forbid either one of them leave, I mean, you probably found that out with Peggy.
Well, no,
Well,
we
and
found
Tara.
we found it out with Tara.
Oh,
Yeah, Tara, but more so, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
She hit us,
I mean, and I don't know if our budget can handle it, you know, I don't know, but I thought, you know, maybe around Christmas or whatever, if they could get,
towards the end,
Towards the end of the year.
last check of the year, maybe.
that they could get maybe 2 weeks of worth of this, I mean, because like Emily's got 433 hours.
I mean, even for me, for my vacation, I have a lot of,
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I'm a new kid on the block, so I don't have any time.
well, I think
I've
we'd
got-
have to talk with the auditor about that.
Okay,
Yeah, check that out, because that's a good idea to get rid of it, that'd be a good deployment for Christmas.
That's what I mean. I'm not sure if we
I don't know if
can.
we're even allowed to pay it out, we'd have to ask.
oh, really?
I'm,
Okay.
that's why I'm saying we'd have to talk
Okay.
with an auditor, because I'm concerned that, you know, that's
Yeah.
not feasible.
We're committed.
Again, if it were my world, I would suggest that Melissa ought to be making 15 and I'd give Emily 14.
Do we do employee reviews? Is that something we do?
we have not.
We have not done that in ages. At one point, I think we did it, I think we might have had a form. But boy, that's going back to our.
Well, I didn't hear what she said.
Evaluations.
We did an evaluation, and I think part of the evaluation was early on, there were troubles within the staff system, so that was one of the reasons we wanted to do an evaluation. And I gotta figure, Glenn, you've gotta have an evaluation in your stack of materials you share with companies and so forth that would, might be worthwhile to bring and share with us and so forth, or if you could email it out ahead of time so we could take a peek at it and see how useful it might be for us.
I think it might be prudent.
Because
not
I think
because
an
we're having any trouble,
evaluation
but,
is,
you know, we have something in our records that shows that, yes, we regularly evaluate our employees.
Well, and I would tell you when,
and here are strengths, weaknesses, how they're doing.
when the Secretary of State goes through, just like with Stark County last year, that was one of the things they did not have in place was an employee handbook or an evaluation process, and that was part of the thing that the Secretary made them.
Yeah, well, now, we have a county handbook,
Yeah, we have a county handbook, but, yeah,
yeah,
regular evaluations.
and we want to be careful there because you don't want to put things differently in
Mhm.
our handbook that when the county has kind of got it covered.
Right.
There are a couple of things that obviously are different.
Yeah.
We've always been recognized as a little peculiar and it's hard with comp time, flex time. Because
But I will
we
talk to
manufacture it,
Yeah,
Auditor Livigood and
if we
find
can
out.
do that, we can get rid of some of that, and
yeah.
if we got the money.
I mean, not that any of us are anywhere near
Yeah.
leaving or
Yeah, I mean, I don't have
Retiring.
plans, but
Right, Well,
Neither was Tara and.
I don't wanna leave that way. I don't wanna leave that way. Yeah. Also, Glenn had asked for, a list of all elected officials in the county, so I just went ahead and made a whole copy. Now, obviously, after this election, we're gonna have to change it. But I just thought this was nice for you guys to have, because it has every elected official in the county.
Right.
And that way, if you ever have to talk to
And I thought
somebody.
about that too, I just.
I'll call Joe, see what he has
Well,
to say.
see what he has to say. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would love to talk to Joe.
Sucked up in. You
Oh.
guys pay for pretty
Do you need a motion to adjourn?
So that changes how much better.
Adjourning.
Oh, we are? I'm sorry, we have a motion second. Any further,
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Alrighty,
Sorry.
and I'll let you guys know, those for sure dates for the other poll rate.
You should have come up, you could have sat in one of my high chairs. At the fair,
Oh,
instead of having people throw candy at you.
yeah, we got pelted. Yeah, I had my mother there and cousins.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, that's one of the benefits of Front Street living.
Yeah, oh, I love that. I thought, I don't even have a place to go see it.
Oh, you should
I thought I
have
should've
just, you should
just called
have
you.
just walked over and said, hey.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. We had a wonderful meeting, so we think everything.
I thought you were gonna call Craig for some reason, like, that's what he does.
No, Jerry got us in that day
Oh,
and it was
good.
wonderful.
Good,
So
good, good.
she, we had to do an Amber Alert on her Friday, Sunday. We couldn't find him. Jay's dad took her out of the nursing home.
Oh, I don't even know who we're talking.
My mother-in-law and then my in-laws.
You didn't tell me?
Yeah, I know.
And I didn't ask.
That's all right.
So-
That's all right. I had talked to Dennis as well, but she's 87 and he's 93. And she's got dementia pretty bad. And she had a stent put in and things have just gone downhill ever since.
So who
So-
took her out of there?
Her husband, Saturday, he's the main POA, but Jay's also a POA. So we're getting him off
Yeah.
and putting Jay on. Wake up Sunday, she's confused, she has no idea what, she's dizzy. Well, number one, she should have never left the nursing home. Number two, who knows what medicines he gave her? I mean, I can't hardly figure out her medicines. So I had to wave down, we went to the places where we thought they would go. And I found a trooper and I waved him down, we put a silver alert out. Here she had gone to the hospital, he took her to the hospital. He doesn't call the squad, he takes her to the hospital. So yeah, so we're still in the grips, but thank you so much, he was wonderful.
Good, good.
Very good.
All right, we'll see you guys.
All righty.
See ya.
Did,
Hey, how do we end this?
I got it paused. I just closed.
Because there was a thing where you're supposed to do like in for all or something. That way it doesn't keep recording. Maybe they're in. Yeah, it does.